Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Nextiva. Gone are the days of jumping from app to app, killing precious time that you could be using to get real business done. Alternatively, with Nextiva One, you can communicate and collaborate with your customers and teams from one single place. Threaded conversations that let you see an entire call and messaging history regardless of communication channels. Seeing the whole conversation in one place actually gives you the whole story of the customer and allows you to provide premium personalised services while connecting with your team. Get your Nextiva One customer and team conversation system set up and running today by simply visiting nextiva.com/techtalkdaily. Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily podcast. Now, there's a great deal of talk about how businesses must evolve to avoid being disrupted. And I recently encountered a company called ManageEngine, and they built its reputation on prioritising flexible solutions that work for all businesses regardless of size or budget. But it's got me thinking, how do the solution providers, how do they also evolve to meet their customers' evolving requirements? And when I dug a little deeper, I learned that Analytics Plus was an on-premise IT analytics solution by them. But recently, Rakesh Jayaprakash and his team over there finished transforming the product into a SaaS solution that allows IT to connect several data sources at once into integrated analytics platform that can be deployed on private and public clouds, including AWS and Azure. So the goal was to help organizations attain a faster time to market, increase productivity, curb expenditure, and garner more revenue. And it was an inspiring story that I wanted to learn a little bit more about. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to India, where Rakesh is waiting to discuss the decision to evolve Analytics Plus into a SaaS offering, share the journey of doing so, and the value that update will bring to teams. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. My name is Rak. I'm a product manager at ManageEngine. And I'm specifically focused on our analytics initiatives. And I head 3 specific departments in analytics, which is product management, marketing, and pre-sales. I've been associated with ManageEngine for about 12 years now. I started as a pre-sales engineer and then worked on several different products. And that journey has now led to product management and now analytics specifically.
And I'd love to take you back in time for a moment. Can you remember where your passion for technology came from, or just a moment that put you on the path that you're on right now, and ultimately share your origin story with everyone?
Absolutely. My passion with tech, interestingly, started with motorsport, specifically Formula One. I grew up watching Formula One, and I was really fascinated by the fact that this car, which is zipping around the track at about 200 or 300 kilometers per hour, is streaming telemetry data in real time at over 100 different data points. And there is, an entire team at the pit box telling the driver what to do. If the driver feels that the gas pedal is a little stiff, the engineer back at the pit box probably knew that before he could even feel it, right? So that really fascinated me, the fact that how Formula One takes that tech, puts that to use, takes that data, and the faster you process that data, the bigger edge you have over your competition. And that really, really fascinated me as a kid. And I think Formula One, for example, is what it is today because the technology allows it to be.
Great story as well. And that path would eventually lead you to ManageEngine. So can you tell me more about the story behind the company and some of the problems that it set out to solve with technology?
Absolutely. So ManageEngine is an IT management software division of Corp. And ManageEngine makes IT management software that helps organizations around the world run their IT. So we make software that addresses every possible problem that you could find in IT, ranging from enterprise service management software, also known as the help desk, which allows you to, manage tickets from across your organization, help your end users. We also have software which can help you manage your endpoints, which allows you to, deploy patches, deploy software to your users. And also obviously network monitoring is a big piece, which, we have a ton of applications which allow organizations to monitor their network to see, how their routers are performing, how much traffic they're having to deal with, and so on. So ManageEngine has existed for about 20 years. This particular year, 2022, interestingly, we are celebrating our 20 years of existence. And I'm proud to have been a part of at least half of that journey. I've been associated with the company for about 12 years now. And I've had the privilege to see how the company has grown in the past decade. And today, about 9 in 10 Fortune 500 companies use ManageEngine products across 190 different countries. And one interesting aspect of ManageEngine and Zoho is that from the very beginning, we've made the decision to stay private. And the company is still private. And that really gives us a lot of freedom in terms of experimenting with new ideas and see how that goes without having the pressure of having to, deliver your quarterly numbers. And I think that is really a big gift, as you say, for us to experiment on ideas and see where it goes without a lot of pressure laying on you.
And I must admit, I think for years, one of ManageEngine's mainstay of offerings from the outside looking in has been Analytics Plus, which is a self-service IT analytics solution. But recently, though, I was reading that you and your first team finished transforming the product into a SaaS solution that also allows IT to connect several data sources and put them into integrated analytics platform that can then be deployed into private and public clouds, including AWS and Azure, for example. But can you tell me more about the story behind that move?
Sure. Traditionally, almost all of our ManageEngine products existed as on-premises offerings. And even many years after, the SaaS phenomenon happened and became very popular, organizations were readily moving their business software but IT preferred to have everything on premises, primarily because of the sensitivity of data and operations they handle. In the past couple of years, or I would say at least 3 years, we've been witnessing an increasing shift of IT software from on-premises to cloud, which of course was accelerated, or this increase in pay was to an extent induced by the pandemic, where people started working from home, working from anywhere, and wanted to experience the same set of tools that they use to perform their day-to-day tasks. So IT applications slowly started moving to the cloud, and we saw that trend early on. And that is why most of the ManageEngine products today also have or has, a cloud offering. And the analytics piece, that is Analytics Plus, which gathers data from all these applications and allows organizations to put that to use, was also expected to be on the cloud because most of the other IT software was already on the cloud. And that, I would say, is the driving force behind making this decision to come out with a SaaS offering, and also giving organizations the ability to deploy the application on their own private and public clouds, like you mentioned, Azure, AWS, or even Google Cloud for that matter.
And I'm curious, what does this change mean to your customers? What kind of additional problems does it solve, or even just extra value does it bring to business leaders?
The biggest gain that customers will see is the reduction in time it takes to get insight. Today, there is absolutely no shortage of data, but organizations need to figure out what data is important to them and figure out a way to derive actionable insights from it. Now, the fact that an analytics software or Analytics Plus is available on the cloud reduces the time it takes in terms of setting up the application, commissioning it, ensuring that it has enough resources to run. All of that is taken care of by ManageEngine, the ManageEngine itself. And all the customer needs to do now is connect Analytics Plus to the various different data sources and start visualizing the data and getting insights from it. And the next big problem it solves for customers is accessibility. Now, no matter where they are, they can access the application, look at what's going on with their IT infrastructure, take decisions then and there without having to, either be physically located in the office premises or having to connect to, a VPN. So all that they don't have to do anymore. And of course, being a SaaS product, they don't have to worry about maintenance or patching the software to experience the latest features. All of that is taken care of by ManageEngine. And that is really the big value that customers get out of this particular change.
And I'm curious, from your side, what have been your biggest challenges and lessons learned from the decision to evolve from Analytics Plus into a SaaS offering?
Right. So Analytics Plus, if you look at it, it plays in a very niche segment of IT analytics. Now you have business intelligence and analytics software, which allows businesses to connect to any data source, but Analytics Plus specifically focuses on IT analytics, and that means dealing with IT data. One of the biggest questions that we had to answer is if a larger segment of customers are going to be comfortable with pushing their IT data to the cloud, because this is going to include, or this data is going to include IP addresses, MAC addresses, and other sensitive information, which can be exploited. Now, though we did get a lot of requests from customers for a cloud or a SaaS version of the product for a few years now, we weren't quite sure if a larger set of audience would take to it. But I think we took the decision to go ahead and the market has answered that question for us, because ever since we released the SaaS version of the product, we are seeing a bigger interest for the product. And also that is reflecting in terms of the lead volume and the traffic that we're getting on our website has almost doubled, which we did not, to be honest, expect. And those early signs have really sort of added to our conviction that this is a path that we had to take. And the biggest lesson here is that, you always have to closely listen to your customers, because not everyone is going to come back and tell you or give you feedback or tell you what they want from the product. So you're going to just get bits and pieces of information here and there. So it's really important for you to pay attention to that and take that feedback and implement that in the product. And sometimes I feel, the best people to come up with a roadmap for your product is your customers.
It really is. And I was thinking, do you have any use cases that you can share just to bring to life what we're talking about here that will enable anyone listening to almost envision a before and after picture and how it might work in their world?
Absolutely. So imagine this, you're, let's say, a decent size organization. Every company now relies on IT to run some sort of their back-end operations. And IT teams or any business today is at least relying on about 10 to 15 software applications, ranging from service management to security. And let's say you're the CEO or the CIO and you have a very simple question. Is my IT operating efficiently? Now, in order for you to answer that question, you'll have to look at what's happening, the data that's there in each of your 10 to 15 different software applications. You have to take that information, collate it yourself, and answer that question. So by the time you even figure out the answer, things have changed, right? So enter Analytics Plus. You sign up to the cloud version of the product, just takes about 5 minutes. And we have close to 200 different out-of-the-box connectors, which allows you to connect the application to the various IT apps that you're running. And it funnels all that information, collates that into a single dashboard. And now you have a single pane of glass view of your entire IT. And answers such as how efficiently your IT operations are functioning is not something that you even have to ask. You see that right in the dashboard. You know what's going on with your IT infrastructure. What are the areas that are generating most alarms? What are the areas where you'll have to add more resources. Those are things that you'll be able to immediately gather from the application. And another important aspect is AI-enabled assistant, which allows you to just ask questions in plain English. You can ask a question like, what is my SLA compliance percentage? And it's not going to need you to figure out which fields to use to build a report. The assistant understands your question and answers in the form of a report or a dashboard.
And what keeps you up at night here? And how do you keep your curiosity and open-mindedness alive to rise to some of those challenges and do things differently? Because it feels like you've been on quite a journey here. And to be on a journey like that and to come out the other side with a new solution, you've got to be continuously changing and open-minded to change, haven't you?
Absolutely, very much so. And, we come across a lot of things in everyday life and we take most of the things for granted and accept things for the way they are without questioning it. A simple example is, why does a traffic cone have to be orange and not red or any other bright color? Or why should it even be cone shaped for that matter? I'm kind of the person who likes to ask these questions and try to find out the answer to that. And I don't really rest until I find the answer to these questions. And what really drives me to do that is that I enjoy that journey of discovery and figuring out the answer to such questions. As kids, we're all blessed with this quality of curiosity, but as we grow up, we lose that curiosity at some point, which is really sad. But I think, curiosity is a very important quality for every person to have, and for each one of us to carefully protect it consciously. And the secret to keeping your curiosity alive is to question the things around you and not accepting things for the way they are.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I would also throw in creativity into that. In the workplace now, we've all kind of fooled ourselves into thinking that only certain individuals are creative. And many people
Yes.
will say, well, hey, I'm not creative. Somebody else can do that. But of course, as children, we were both creative and curious.
Absolutely.
But we lose our way somewhat, don't we?
Yes. I mean, I see my daughter, everything is new to her. She's 2 years old and she has to open everything and see what's inside. I think I sort of sometimes miss that feeling because now you sort of know what everything around you is and you don't have to explore it. But, I mean, she lets me connect to a lot of the things that we tend to forget over time.
And what's next for ManageEngine as we look in towards the future? You've already gone through a period of tremendous change and transformation, but what's your big focus next?
Right. So you might have figured out, by the way I was talking about what ManageEngine does. ManageEngine has covered the full breadth of IT operations. Like I mentioned, if you have an IT problem, we have a product for that. And what we're really focused on now is taking that strength and putting all of it together. So our next big focus area is to come up with a consolidated bundle, which includes very tight integration with every one of our software products and also enable seamless flow of data across products. So imagine a single package that can handle all your IT needs. You can either start with all the pieces of IT management that you will need or possibly need for all your IT, or start with a few components and add them as and when you grow as a company. And we're really excited about this. And also another big focus area is deeply integrating AI and ML, which is artificial intelligence and machine learning in all of our products in a bit to reduce a lot of manual effort that IT teams are doing today. A good example of that is from the Analytics Plus standpoint, we are working on a recommendation which will allow you to, or which offers corrective actions based on data. For example, let's say your IT team is struggling to keep up with a barrage of issues. Analytics Plus can sense the increase in workload, suggest you to hire more technicians, and it can also help you run scenarios and tell you the degree to which workload can be reduced based on the number of technicians you hire. So you can pretty much figure out how many technicians you would need before even going out and hiring people. And that's a really important thing to do, because when you take decisions, you know what to do, but sometimes, you don't know to what degree you need to implement a decision or a change. And that is really where advancements like these can really help.
Love that. And we started the podcast talking about your origin story and the journey you've been on. And as we come full circle, and I want to ask you to look back one more time, because none of us are able to achieve success without a little help along the way. So is that a particular person that you're grateful towards who maybe helped you get where you are, or maybe just saw something in you or even invested a little bit of time with you to put you on the right track? Is there anyone you'd like to thank that we can give a shout out to today?
Absolutely. One thing that I didn't mention is when I started my journey with ManageEngine, I almost didn't know a lot about IT, because in college, I majored. My engineering was in biotechnology, which is a far fetch from IT. So when I got into IT, there was a lot of things for me to learn. And my managers that I had, not only at the beginning, but throughout my journey in ManageEngine, have given me the space to learn, given me the time to learn, and at the same time, allowed me to fail and learn from that. And that pretty much defines the culture that we have at ManageEngine, because we're not really chasing quarterly numbers. I mean, they are important, but we have that culture of letting people experiment, learn at their own pace, as long as they're making that effort or putting in that effort. So I would really take this opportunity to all the managers that I've had so far in my journey at ManageEngine. I've learned a lot from them, and I take all those learnings and try to be the manager that they were to my teammates.
And before I let you go, for anyone listening that would just like to find out more information about ManageEngine, stay up to speed with the latest news, or contact your team even, where's the best starting point for everything?
So obviously, to know a lot about the product or the products that we offer, our website is ManageEngine.com, and you can find information of all the products on our website. Our socials are ManageEngine in Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm mostly active on LinkedIn under the name Rakesh Jayaprakash. So that's the best place.
I'll add those links to the show notes so people can find you nice and easily. Love chatting with you about the decision to evolve Analytics Plus into a SaaS offering, and also sharing the journey of doing so and the value it will bring to IT teams. But for me, it was also your very personal origin story, what put you on this path, and giving a little thank you at the end there that really brought the story to life. So thank you so much for taking the time to share that with me today.
Thanks a lot, Neil. It was a pleasure.
What a great guy. And I just cannot thank him enough for giving up his Friday evening to share his story with us today, because that is when we recorded this conversation. But do you have a story that you'd like to share, or do you want to add something to today's conversation? Maybe you've got some additional insights that you'd like to bring in. I'd love to hear about them. So please email me now, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram @NeilC.Hughes. And my website is techblogwriter.co.uk. So keep those messages coming in. We'll keep this conversation going. And I also invite you to come back tomorrow, and we'll do it all again with a different guest and another inspiring story. How does that sound? Whew, I'm glad you said that. So thank you for listening as always. And until next time, don't be a stranger.